This week on the Steam Machine Podcast,
Willie's turn to pick a game for us. I guess that means we played some really dangerous. Cue music!
hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Steam Machine Podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me this week is one half of the Destructo Bros.
Good evening. It's Willie. How you doing? Don't know one with a big Vincent Price style good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, you show me up by actually having a cool voice.
To terrorize y'all's neighborhoods.
Y'all's neighborhoods.
He does. I love it. I love hearing Vincent Price say terrorize y'all's neighborhoods. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm doing...
You're not doing good, man. I know you're not doing good. Don't lie to us.
I can't lie. So last week I sat down in my chair, and this is the stupidest thing of how this actually happened. So, you know when you sit down and you kind of lean just your upper body forward and use your legs and scoot your chair forward?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Every time.
Yeah, so I did that, and while I was leaning forward and going to scoot, I coughed. And immediately the searing pain in the base of my spine, right? And I'm just like, oh, sweet mother. And I had already been doing a bunch of yard work and stuff, so I had probably already flared something, and that was just the final straw. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, shit. Oh, this is bad. So luckily, I keep a cane by my computer, and I keep a cane by my toilet.
Smart.
I just have spare like two canes, and that's where I keep them in case something like this happens. Yeah.
That's why they call you Two Cane Sam.
Yeah, exactly. You son of a bitch. So I'm like, oh, this really sucks, but I'll be all right. I've hurt my back before. So that night, I'm like, I get up out of bed, I wake up, and I'm like, I feel like I have to pee. I went to bed early that night because it was like my back was killing me, so I just laid down and passed out. Wake up, and it's like 11 o'clock at night, and thank God my dad was still in the living room awake. So I get up, and I'm like, man, I have to pee. So I'm walking like a crippled old woman, just creep into the bathroom, and I get in there, and I set my cane to the side, and I'm like kind of shaking, like, because it hurts so bad to stand up at the time. Pull my dick out, start to pee, and for the first time in my life, I passed out. I was sitting there, and I'm mid-piss, and my vision just starts going back and forth, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And I remembered, as stupid as it sounds, I remembered in The Sopranos when Tony started getting those panic attack, when he would faint from his panic attacks, he would start breathing. And when I felt myself starting to do that, I was like, oh, this probably isn't good. Boom. Next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor, and luckily I'm lazy because there was a pile of clothing on the floor that needed to be washed that I just happened to fucking fall on instead of smacking the linoleum floor. So I'm laying there, and apparently my cane had fallen and made a whole bunch of noise because I just hear my dad go, you all right? I'm like, I fell. And he goes, what? I said, I think I passed out. And next thing I know, he's coming to try to get into the bathroom. I literally had to lean and pull the door open against myself so he could get in to help me up. Lily's outside the bathroom, losing her goddamn mind, trying to wondering what is going on. And I get stood up. Here's the crazy thing. Did not piss myself. Did not piss on the floor. I just cut it off. And when I finally got stood back up, I told my dad, I need to finish peeing. And he's like, he goes, sit down to pee.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I shuffled him out of the bathroom. And then I didn't. I lifted the thing and I went to go pee again and immediately started feeling like I was going to pass out again. But this time I put my hand on the sink and held myself up until I finished peeing and just kind of shook it off, and it went away. And then I just made my way back to bed and passed the fuck out. And I've been in agony ever since.
Yeah. It sounds like you've been through a really rough one. Like, just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, any bit of relief sounds like it would help. And every little mitigating circumstance sounds like agony. Mitigating is the opposite of the word I wanted. Sorry.
No, I know what you mean, though. So I had some edibles. I went through all of those. My mom gave me some muscle relaxers. I just took the last one that I had before we started recording because I figured it'll kick in by the time we're done, and then I can go to bed. But it's getting to the point now where I can walk without my cane, but there's still a numb just pain there that's just sharp every now and then. And I'm hoping Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that I was just leaned weird, and when I coughed, it was just a hard cough, and I like tore or pulled a muscle that just was near of nerve or something like that. I really hope it's not like a slipped disc or anything or something along those lines, because I don't want surgery because I don't have insurance, and that's just expensive.
Yeah.
But needless to say, I pretty much lost a week of gaming because I did finally get to like 3 or 4 days after I heard it. I managed to finagle my way over and hook up an HDMI from my computer to my TV and then get that set up so I was able to play some Elite and then play some Final Fantasy and stuff while I was laying in bed, because this computer chair is not the most comfy thing in the world. So here soon, within the next week or so, I'm going to have access to some of my money, and I think I might buy myself like a nice recliner to have in here and maybe one of those desk trays. So like if I'm leaning back and still need my keyboard and mouse, I can do what I got to do.
Yeah. You got to accommodate yourself, because be gentle on it. Even after it feels healed, don't immediately go back to 100. You know?
Yeah. I told Mom, I said, of course my back goes out and it's hurt, and I have a lot of shit to do now with all the wood and stuff in my backyard. It's just taunting me. I think what originally flared it up was our lawnmower was in the shop, and I got really impatient because our backyard was getting super high, and my sweet little girl Lily doesn't like to play fetch in the high grass because it brushes against her face. So she's just like, my little princess is what I'll call her. She's not my little shithead at all. She's my little princess.
She doesn't want to run around in there because there might be like a Tangela or a Pidgeotto.
I know, man. She doesn't want it to come out and kick her ass. So what I ended up doing was
she doesn't have any elemental moves.
She has normal speed attacks is her thing.
Yeah.
She's got a high speed stat, trust me. And so I went out there with the weed eater, and I just weed eated like a quarter of my yard.
Damn.
And yeah, I'm thinking that's what started the spiral into where I'm at now, because that's a lot of my yard that I cut with that thing. But it was like, I was just tired of looking at it. But other than that, man, just been eating food. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to cook, so I've just been eating it. Nothing really jumps out there. We did talk about a place that I went to in the Patreon section, some Venezuelan food. If you're interested in hearing about that, check out the Patreon, $1 a month, and you get to banter in the beginning, all just for you. How have you been, my good sir?
Oh, I've been up to some stuff this week. I've been at least playing games over the last couple of weeks, which I don't always get around to. I know sometimes I'll get all guilty about not getting to the video game for the show, and I'm like, well, I'll play that, but I'll play the game I want to after doing a little bit of the show game, and then I put that off, and nothing ever gets done, and I end up just not having any fun or getting anything done. But it hasn't been like that this week, so I've actually been playing with a few things in addition to the game we did for the show. Let's see. I've been playing a Doom WAD called Winter's Fury. It was, I gotta look up the exact year. I want to say it was 2014. Let me see. Winter's Fury. Doom.
Now, was that one of the ones you were saying is considered one of the worst of all time, or was that one in the video you were watching?
No. The video I was watching was someone rating a bunch of different stuff, but this one didn't even come up at all. That guy that was an interesting video too, because the one he rated as the worst was Hell Revealed 2, which is a controversial one, but one that a lot of people found really influential. But so this one was a 2012 CACA Award winner called Winter's Fury, and basically the idea is it's kind of it's a little bit more storyline based. Like, it uses GZ Doom assets and scriptings to where there are like cutscenes and new boss fights and things like that. But the idea of it basically is that like the leader of the demonic invasion, the military took him and basically took the body and kept it in a facility under Siberia, and then demons are showing up in Siberia. Yep, it's always Siberia. And it worked for this one especially because it lets it have this really cold theme. Like, the game is like, even the monsters have
that. Okay, no, I was gonna say I remember the screenshots you sent of that.
Yeah, so
okay,
there's the monsters have like frozen variants, which mostly are just most of them are just cosmetic, but a few of them, like the I can't remember if it's called anything special, but there's like a frozen Archvile and a frozen Revenant that have different attacks than the basic ones. Oh, and the Manculus too. All of those have like slightly different attacks. But the texturing and like sense of place in it has just been really good. The combat has been really intense. Like, it feels very action movie in a really good way, and it feels like it's building to something. I haven't finished it yet, but I did clear a couple of the boss stages. I told you about like the one moment in there that was like cracking me up, which is, so there's you get to the place where you and the other Marines were sent to rendezvous at the power station, and you end up fighting this enormous demon boss called the Alien Queen, which is absolutely just a recolored demon. It was called the Demon Queen. It's a recolored Alien Queen sprite from Duke Nukem 3D, but they gave it a whole bunch of really cool attacks and stuff. Pretty intense boss fight. Then after you win, you get like a cutscene where this like creature, this like thing that's just like a foggy presence is talking to you. And it says something to you, your guy's like, why are you telling me this? And the thing's like, because we're very similar types of beings. We both make our own stories. For instance, you're the only person I've ever seen defeat two alien queens or two demon queens at the same time. And your dude's just like, I only fought one. And immediately, the scene rips you into gameplay again, and all of a sudden there are two of the demon queens you have to basically avoid for like 2 minutes while you're waiting for the rest of the party to show up and blast them.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, it was pretty good.
It jump scared you too at one point.
I mean, that was the jump scare. Oh no, the jump scare was so like I said, there's frozen variants of the enemies, right? And there was a scene, I think it was like map 5 or 4B. I don't know. I'm still not finished with it. Like I think it's a total of 15 maps and I'm like halfway in. But there's a scene where you're like on this massive cliff and you just took care of everything that was behind you, and this is the setup for a boss fight. And so I'm running around because it's so wide open. It's giving you the big pickups, the big cell packs, making sure you have a rocket launcher, making sure you have a plasma gun to use in the fight. And so you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be big. And there's a lot of cover, so it could be anything, but there's also a lot of wide open spaces. And so I'm going around this natural looking, ice formation, this big old hill of ice. And on the other side of it, I just see big frozen skeleton rearing up ready to punch. I'm like, oh shit, there's a revenant. I'm going to run backwards because I was not prepared to handle that at all. And no revenants had appeared yet in the game. And it turned out that one was actually just frozen. It was just there to prank you out.
Yeah, the screenshot, I laughed.
Of course, as you also probably guessed, when you do end up dealing with the cyber demon that you do fight there, of course, those things come alive, and then a whole second wave of shit hits the fan.
Oh, yeah, the ice melts and... Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah, actually, that was the last fight I did before I put the game away for the time being, because I was like, that was intense, that was awesome. The combat has just been really, really well-paced. I'm playing it on what it calls medium difficulty, because it has separate difficulty settings from the original Doom, and the way it made it sound, medium is basically the recommended level for regular Doom players, the same way ultra-violence is usually set up for most WADs.
Okay, so they're there for the people who are good at Doom.
Yeah, there's 2 levels below that for people who want a more casual experience. And I've heard people say that they've just opened it up, turned on no monsters, and just walked through it because it has such really awesome architecture and visuals for a Doom WAD. It's really pretty. It uses a really cool fog effect, which I know a lot of us who lived through the N64 era of games think of fog as being there to just cheaply lower render distance and all that, but in this case it's absolutely used for aesthetic. It does not make the game run any better. In fact, GZ Doom is so kind of bashed together that the fog makes the game slower, but it's there because it makes the wintry theme really sell itself. You feel in this horrible isolation in this base where everything recently went wrong, and it's just pretty awesome like that. It's just the sense of place there is really good.
That's what's up. I remember just talking about fog real quick. I remember loading up a mod that took away all the fog in Morrowind, and then just realizing, oh, this game's really not that big. But it seemed like it back in the day.
I have a feeling if I ever played the fogless version of Shadow Colossus, I might get a similar feeling.
Yeah, 100%. Especially in some of those areas where you're like, man, this must go on forever. It's no, actually, it ends right over there. You just can't see.
Ends right behind the fog. Pay no attention to the man behind the extremely thick cottony curtain.
Oh man, so what else you been up to, bud?
Oh, I've been doing some other games too. I know occasionally we've talked back and forth about wanting to play some classic RPGs for the show, and one of the ones I'm most interested in is the Wizardry series, but also that is a really notoriously difficult game, especially by today's standards. There's just a lot of stuff that is difficulty of its own age, lack of QOL features that you would expect, but also the way games were expected to be difficult was different back then. It is a lot more designed like how an adversarial dungeon master would define an AD&D 2nd edition dungeon instead of a tour for you to play through and learn things like RPGs tend to be these days.
Yeah, it's like it's brutal. Those games are fucking brutal.
So I've been playing a game, a web-based game. It's actually pretty old. The guy originally made it for like a Unix computer in the 1980s, but it was like brought back on his like website, which is also a really old website. Like it's called the website's called rinkworks.com, and it's like this weird. It's this old website that's like the kind of website people used to have, where it's like there's trivia, there's humor pages, there's like little games the guy made, there's like stuff that no one else in the world would be interested in, like random FAQs.
Like weird shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah. My watch just thought all of that was a message to it. I just realized it was transcribing like 10 million words. Where was that? Oh yeah, but so in a section that they're called the Role Players Vault, there's these two games that are basically kind of very heavily inspired by Wizardry 1 and Wizardry 4, called Murkon's Refuge, and I think the other one's called Murkon's Revenge. But basically the idea is it's very similar to Wizardry, where it's a mazy first-person dungeon crawler. You create a party of 6 characters. You have the choice of like what species, what sex, and what character class they can be. And when you get them up to a certain level of stats later on, you can retrain them into prestige classes that drops them back to level 1 but makes them incredibly strong. Or you can retrain them into each other's classes. So, you can make the guy that knows all the spells into a killer fighter, for instance. But you have to get them up to minimum skills for that class too. And, you go into a dungeon, there's all kinds of traps, and there's a predefined layout. It's not like a roguelike. It's a specifically crafted dungeon. And it's been pretty fun so far. I'm at the 4th floor out of 10. I kind of have my progress is currently halted because I think I need a key that is on the 3rd floor to progress past past a certain thing on the 4th floor, but I'm having trouble mapping the 3rd floor because it's basically a crumbling ruin, and so just because of the way it is, it's really hard to block out what everything, like what's walls, what's space, because everything kind of looks the same. Like we're talking the old Wizardry style graphics, so there's not like different floor textures and different wall textures and all that to help you out. It is all one wireframe. Yeah,
which is not easy to navigate.
Right. But fortunately, you do get spells, a compass spell and a light spell. And if you have those together, you get a little map that shows you the surrounding 1 radius, and then the 2nd level light spell 2 radius, like what's in those squares in terms of whether it's a door, a block, or a floor. But even if it is a floor, it doesn't tell you if that's trapped, for instance. So I fell down a chute at one point, had to find my way back to the 2nd floor, and then while I was on the 2nd floor, one of my party defeated a monster. The monster dropped a treasure chest. My thief tried to disarm it, and it contained a teleport trap that teleported me elsewhere in that floor that I hadn't mapped yet. But luckily, I had the location spell going at the time, so I could take the map that I've been making in a Notepad++ file, just drawing the map out square by square, and I could see the gap. Because I just counted over from the last known location I was at and started the map over there until I could bring my way back to unite the maps.
Hey, that's smart.
Yeah, so it ended up being really fun, and I felt like I was getting a good challenge, even though I had a lot of bad luck happen in a row. The main thing is, at the very beginning of the game, it's pretty much very similar to Wizardry in that you're very likely to die to poison and stuff. After your characters get to about experience level 3, it starts to become safer to move on. So, the kind of idea is you go into the dungeon, you fight, you try to get some better equipment for your front guys, try to level up everyone, because the more spells your back 3 know, the more that's going to help, since you're what they call the wizard is the priest class that does a little bit more fighting than the other one, and he basically has your mapping spells and your healing spells and all that. And then the other class they call sorcerer, and they have the damage spells, basically your direct combat spells like damage and increase armor class and things like that. And then of course, if you get a magic user to have really high stats in both stats, you can train them as a druid, which is basically they get both spell books, but they lose almost all their ability to wear armor, but they gain armor class naturally as they level up. So kind of a cool combination.
Yeah, I'll say that seems helpful if you gain armor class, because I know being glass cannon can be real hard sometimes.
Yeah. So that the other thing is that melee attacks can only attack from your first 3 characters and to your first 3 characters. So your back row, your back 3 guys can only attack with magic or parry if they don't have a long-range weapon. The starting area has darts, which is a pretty reasonably okay long-range weapon, but it's also really expensive, so you're spending a lot of the early time just grinding for money, trying to get your party stronger so you feel more comfortable in taking the risk to push on. And so that's kind of, it becomes a game about mapping, about managing risk, and I'm having fun with it, feeling like it's kind of like baby's wizardry.
I think I own Wizardry 7 and 8, maybe 6 and 7. I think 6, 7, and 8, actually.
It might be 6, 7, and 8, yeah, because I remember you told me you were thinking of doing one of them for the show, and I pointed out that 6, 7, and 8 have a trilogy thing going where you can bring characters from 6 into 7 into 8 after each one. Kind of like how 1, 2, and 3 did. So I think he's decided if we ever do Wizardry, we want to start on 6.
Yeah, and then there are some like remakes of the early Wizardry games, but they've been super anime-fied, and like that's interesting to me.
Yeah, like if we did the remake of the first one, I would probably end up playing the Super Nintendo version that was only released in Japan, because it has English in it already, and it has improved graphics and stuff. It looks less like a wireframe and more like, you know, it looks like a computer game, not necessarily a modern computer game, but it looks like it would have come out in, you know, the early 90s instead of the early 80s.
More of the early like Ultima games, and kind of like where it's like your dude is just like little stick figure guy with shield and sword.
Yeah.
And you move him by typing N, W, E, or S.
And even then, I think the early Ultima games might be easier to navigate immediately than the early Wizardry games, just because the first-person perspective versus the overhead.
Oh, that's right. I forgot Wizardry's first person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's more like a Calibeth.
So that's also why you want to have, in this game, it's called the Wizard class. I'm sure it was like Priest or Cleric in Wizardry. But so you can cast like a spell that gives you something close to mapping, so you can, you know, at least see what's around you and start writing it down.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Because I remember the first time I played this game, I've started over a couple times because I just, every now, you know, when you drop a game like that, you don't want to just resume where you were because you don't remember, and you might not have even kept your old maps you drew and stuff. So I'm like, no, take me back to level 1. I'll make a new account because the accounts only are for the role-playing vault anyway. So just make a new set of characters, give them nonsense names, and let them into the jungle. Well, the dungeon, not the jungle, but, you know.
Welcome to the dungeon. We got balls and chains.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got everything you want, especially human remains.
There are no people you can find who are still alive. If you come into this here, your mind will join the hive in the dungeon. Welcome to the dungeon. She got some big little teats.
I mean, there are, like, Medusa-type monsters, so I guess that's true.
Yeah. Turn you to stone, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I do. I very do.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to think if there's any real life stuff I have going on, but it feels like it's kind of been games. I was kind of, again, struggling with my schedule, but it's been getting better over the last couple of days, and so, you know, been just keeping up.
Oh, something I was going to tell you, because I thought that you might laugh at this like I did. So when I'm looking online for recliners to replace my computer chair with something more comfortable, right? I'm like, all right, so I'm probably going to end up spending a decent amount of money for a good chair.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, if I want massaging and things like that, it's probably going to cost more. So I go and I just Google, you know, chairs for good recliners for someone with a bad back, basically.
That sounds like an album for old people, dude. Good recliners for bad backs.
Yeah. And you know those chairs you see in the mall that are like massage chairs that you can like sit in, and then like there's sluts for your legs, there's sluts to stick your arms in, and it just massages all over you. You can buy one of those for your house for about $700.
Huh.
And that is way less than I thought it would be.
Yeah. I guess because I always think of them as commercial installations, so I just assumed it would be like insanely pricey.
Yeah, like, you know, I was thinking like $6,000 or something like that for a big massage chair. And it's like, no, you can get one from Wayfair for like $700.
Wow, that's way fairer than I thought it would be.
Do you remember? I don't remember what caused it. The big Wayfair thing where people were like convinced that Wayfair was trafficking people because you can get like, you know, a cupboard on there that's like $80,000.
Yeah, it was just some weird conspiracy thing, probably based on computer pricing screwing up or something. I don't know. I don't tend to pay attention to that kind of people.
Oh, no, yeah, I didn't take it seriously in the slightest. It's just something that I always think about when I think about Wayfair. I'm like, oh, yeah, people lost their minds over this place for a little while.
Yeah, I already completely forgot that happened until you brought him up. I was just like, why do I kind of know that name?
But yeah, I'm probably gonna end up with a lazy boy.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We'll see. But like those, just I know that those are good. You know what I mean? It's like my grandpa had like 2 of those his entire run. So, well, sir, you about ready to talk about some dangerous elites?
Yes, let's game.
All right, sir. We got some obligatory Wikipedia bullshit here, sir. And just so everyone knows, little trivia fact for you. Elite 4, if you search for Elite 4, it'll bring you here. But for the Pokemon characters, please see list of Pokemon characters and gym leaders and Elite 4 spelled out, not the number. So there's your distinction. That's just hilarious to me and Willie were laughing about that. That's the first thing it says on this Wikipedia. It's like, if you're looking for Pokemon, click here.
I choose Arbok. I choose Cobra Mark III.
I choose Beluga.
And you will choose the Beluga. We will talk about the kind of ships we are specking for in this game.
Yes, sir. Elite Dangerous is an online space flight simulation game developed and published by Frontier Developments. The player commands a spaceship and explores a realistic 1-to-1 scale open-world representation of the Milky Way galaxy, with gameplay being open-ended. The game is the first in the series to attempt massive multiplayer gameplay with players' actions affecting the narrative story of the game's persistent universe, while also retaining a single-player mode, which is what I mostly played when I wasn't playing with Willie. Elite Dangerous is the 4th game in the Elite series. It is the sequel to Frontier First Encounters, released in 1995.
Been a while for this series.
Yes, it has. It looks like I was wrong earlier, by the way. It says one more thing. It says, by November 2012, Frontier began a Kickstarter campaign for Elite Dangerous due to the inability to secure a publisher. The game was released by Frontier for Windows in December of 2014, with a Mac version coming in May of 2015. The Xbox One version came out in October of 2015, and PlayStation 4's version launched June 27th, 2017. It now additionally supports most virtual reality headsets, but because of my back, I did not try that out. But I will at some point just to see how it looks, like I did with No Man's Sky.
I do feel like this game might be a little bit better for virtual reality, just because like the in-game cockpit feels a little bit more realized than the one in No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Like I noticed you were like, you didn't use the buttons to look around. You actually turned your character's head to the side to look at the side panels.
Yeah, I would hit the little thing and then move my right stick, and he would just look over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that to me that was much easier. And I did get a bout of motion sickness the first night I played this game, and I think
worried me a lot.
Yeah, me too. But I once I loaded in the second time, it didn't bother me. So it must have just been a one-off thing that maybe I was just already feeling woozy, and doing a barrel roll happened to just trigger me being like, whoa, shit.
The first time I played the game, it gave me some dizziness too, actually, just because it is, 6 degrees of freedom space flight. And even in those games, I'm used to, usually you turn on your axis instead of rolling and pitching.
Yeah. Yeah, the controls took me a little getting used to. This was like going from skate to session. And what I mean by that is, like, when we're playing No Man's Sky, you control your ship with the left stick. And then if you want to roll, you hit other buttons. In Skate, you do all your tricks with the right stick. In Session, your right stick controls your right leg, your left stick controls your left leg. You know what I mean? So it's like that kind of dispersion coming over to this, where it's like you can, pitch and then barrel roll, but then on your other is how you kind of like turn to the left and right and then kind of go up and down. And it took a little bit to get used to, but once you do, it flows pretty well.
Yeah, because even in other flight simulation-y space fighter games I've played, like TIE Fighter and Free Space and No Man's Sky, usually what you would map to left and right by default is yaw left and yaw right, which means literally if you imagine your ship's butt staying face down, but your nose points to the left and right.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, it's roll instead, like an airplane would be. If you put your stick to the left, you would stay.
You roll to the left.
Right. Yeah. Your roll is a really good word for it. It's self-descriptive.
Yeah. Do a barrel roll.
Right. Exactly. So that I think that might have caused a lot of dizziness too, because also that means you might approach stuff upside down a lot more than you're often going to do in other space games.
Yeah. I noticed every time I would get into an orbit of a planet, it would put me in orbit upside down. So I just got used to pitching my nose a little towards the planet and just looking at where I needed to go. And then once I got to over where I needed, just, finishing the pitch to straight and then just zooming forward instead of going out of orbit.
Yeah. I'm still not confident in landing on planetary surfaces, to be honest.
I love the automation stuff that you can have in your ships. Auto launch and auto dock are amazing.
I will tell you this. When we get to first experiences, that was a massive advantage that this game has over the original Elite, where you can get a docking computer after you've earned 1,000 credits worth in trade, which is probably the point at which you no longer need one.
Well, before we get into first experiences, there is one little more paragraph.
Yes, of course.
Downloadable content for the game, Elite Dangerous Odyssey, was released on the 18th of May, 2021. This DLC allows players to land on planets and move around in first person, as well as engaging in first-person shooter gameplay. So
yes.
That was the most recent, and I had that DLC, and I think you ended up getting it.
Yeah.
Just to check it out. So, yeah. So, Willie, this was your pick, so I'm going to ask you, what made you pick this, and what was your first impression of it?
Well, what made me pick this is, I always wanted to get into the original game, and it's really, really hard and frustrating. And, the version I was playing of the original game was the Commodore 64 version, which I think was the only version available in America. Because the original Elite originally came out for the BBC Micro, which I'm almost certain didn't come out in the US. But there was a Commodore port, and Commodore was big in the US. Maybe not as big as it was in Britain. This is originally a British game, but I'm pretty sure it was big everywhere.
I know I made this joke to you the other night, but what's it called?
The BBC Micro.
Yeah, so that's along the lines of like jumbo shrimp and things like that, like where it's I can't remember the name of that kind of word. The listeners can tell me unless
an
you know what I'm
oxymoron,
talking
perhaps.
About. Thank you. Yes, an oxymoron. BBC Micro, just to me, my brain is ruined, and in my head it's like, oh, that's an oxymoron.
British Broadcasting Corporation.
Oh,
they made educational computers.
I watch the BBC channel sometimes. It's like,
Which
I know the
one?
BBC, but I just giggle. Exactly. I giggle because it's like,
you're childish.
Britain is almost lost. They almost should just change it.
Yeah.
Like they've been overtaken.
Well, you know that the fans of the Arsenal Football Club are called Gooners? I think they might want to give that one up.
No, I didn't know that.
No, it's seriously true. They've been called that for like decades, so lol.
I love that.
I was familiar with I would like to say I'm familiar with the Commodore 64 version. What actually happened is I would read a lot about the Commodore 64 version, go try to play the Commodore 64 version, take the tip in the manual that says, while you're first learning the game, something you should do is leave Lave Station, which is the station you start the game off in. Leave Lave, try to turn back around and redock in the station. Like in this game, like in Elite Dangerous, the stations rotate on an axis and they face a certain direction. So the axis they rotate on is like the way you're going in, but you need to kind of roll slightly to stay with the station. I found that pretty much impossible to do every time I tried it for a very long time. And so every time I start to play the game, I'd do that a couple times and then just be really bummed that I couldn't do it. And load times were pretty bad on an old 5.5-inch floppy disk based system. 5.25, sorry. I didn't want to get letters. Anyway, so, but the thing is, I wanted to play Elite because it was a huge influence on an entire genre of games, including, for me, Escape Velocity and Endless Sky, which I almost picked Endless Sky for the show instead of Elite Dangerous before I realized I actually wanted to play Elite Dangerous. Endless Sky is an open source game.
Oh, okay. Would you consider Elite like one of the games that inspired Descent, or was that more like same-ish era? No,
Descent was far later.
Yeah, that would have been later if this came out for Commodore.
Yeah, I think Descent was just kind of inspired by the idea of, well, first-person shooters are big. Why don't we make a game where you're like floating so you have 6 degrees of freedom, and it's kind of like a combination between a first-person shooter and a flight simulator. But games that were previous flight simulators like this, like, the land-based ones, probably all had a pretty big influence on it as well.
Okay, I was just curious.
Like, I would say you probably don't have Descent if you don't have Doom, but you probably also don't have Descent if you don't have, like, Microsoft, well, maybe not Microsoft Flight Sim, but the classic flight simulators that used to exist. A lot of them were just called Flight Simulator. Like, you would just go to the store and buy Flight Simulator for your Atari or for your Commodore or whatever.
Yeah, I have a thing up here that was gifted to me by Santos, and it's called Flight Squadron, 5 full-force CD-ROM flight simulator games.
Oh, nice.
So, Yeah, there just used to be a bunch of flight sims that weren't necessarily Microsoft.
Yeah, my favorite was Red Baron. It was a simulation of World War I era airplane combat. It could be more or less realistic. Like, it was an early game that had a bunch of realism switches, so you could pick your difficulty level based on whether you want things like your guns to jam or like wind resistance and things like that. But it also had like a realistic history of the progression of the war too. So like over the course of the war, the planes would get better, etc. It was kind of cool. I learned a lot about an important brief period of the history of aviation just from that game because I found it so educational. I was taking a closer look at that box of Flight Squadron.
Yeah, I was looking to see if it had Red Baron because I was like, that name sounds familiar to me, but it doesn't. It has Flight Unlimited,
okay,
Apache.
Okay, Apache was huge.
SU Star 27 Flanker,
okay,
Fighter Duel, and Air Warrior.
Okay, I feel like I knew a lot of people that had an Apache game. I was personally more into the
cool looking box.
Yeah, it is. I was personally more into the plane games than the helicopter games, but I also had friends that had like F-15 Eagle-based games. I'm pretty sure my grandma's Macintosh had a game based on the FA-18 Hornet. So, like, you know, I kind of like the idea of flight simulators, even if I'm not a huge flight nerd.
It wasn't a flight sim game, but we had a helicopter game for my PlayStation 1 that me and my dad played the shit out of. It was called Nuclear Strike.
Yep.
Ooh, that game still holds up. That game's still fun.
Yeah, the Strike series was apparently really awesome. Was it Jungle Strike, Nuclear Strike, Soviet? I think the first was Soviet Strike, and the last one was Nuclear Strike.
Yeah, I think it was Soviet Strike, Jungle Strike,
Urban Strike, and then Nuclear Strike.
Or Urban, yeah, and then Nuclear Strike. Yeah, I can vouch for Nuclear Strike. I haven't played the other ones, but I can vouch Nuclear Strike's fun.
Yeah, I bet. God, I kind of got a little bit lost in the sauce because I was kind of like, so the thing about Elite was one of the things that made that game so interesting was even though the game fit on like, you know, a 5.25-inch floppy disk and all that, it boasted a universe that had 2,048 planets on it.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. So the way that worked was basically, there was a little bit of procedural generation going on under the hood, but the formula, it wasn't like roguelike type thing. It was the same universe every time. If you went from Lave to Daiso and one of your friends did the exact same route, it was the same Lave and the same Daiso. The formula would give you the same thing every time. There's no RNG, but it was using a procedure to generate all that stuff under the hood.
On the fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, on the fly, but in a way that was repeatable. Because I know these days when we say procedural generated, we tend to mean RNG and roguelike type things. But in this case, I'm saying procedural generated the same way a lot of the stars in No Man's Sky and the ones that aren't based on NASA data in Elite Dangerous are.
Yeah, where you load in and they kind of load in with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get you.
So it was a huge game, but it was like, you know, you could go trading, you could go do combat, and combat was kind of like one of the main drawing points of the game because the title Elite refers to the highest rank you can get in the game. So in the original Elite, you start off being ranked harmless. If you manage to survive combat and get the killing shot on an enemy ship, your rank increases to mostly harmless, which one of the many Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy jokes in these games. And also one that I was very happy, like when I was playing Endless Sky, you saw me like laugh because it had a very, very obvious reference to that when I finally got my first couple kills in that game. And so you can trade, you can pirate, you can try to ally with different governments because there are multiple factions and all that.
And this is in the original Elite?
Yes, this is all stuff that has been there since the 1980s.
Wow. That's honestly impressive to me.
Yeah, the game was so far ahead of its time that's one of the reasons I wanted to try to get into it and see how it basically made all these other games. Like, you know, obviously I feel like the Elite series was the biggest influence on No Man's Sky and probably a lot of the influence on games like Starfield as well, which are the two most obvious comparisons we'll have to Elite Dangerous on this episode, I think.
Yeah, I could also somewhat compare the X series.
Yeah, I haven't played
but it's a bit different.
I haven't played X4, and I always keep thinking of it as being more civilization than it actually is.
It actually, you're not far off. Like, whereas Elite Dangerous, you can go and land on planets and do stuff with bases and things like that. Like, a lot of the things that happen in X happen in space. Okay. And, like, you build the space station and you set what sectors of it you want, and those sectors can generate you money. You're trying to become space tycoon man. Okay,
so it is more like a real-time strategy game or a building game than not just you are pilot building your empire yourself.
Yeah, it's like you are pilot, you build empire, you hire people to help run empire, you are Tycoon of Empire. It's like that kind of, yeah.
So, and then, so that's basically, so the original Elite is why I wanted to do Elite Dangerous. I guess I can skip to your first impressions, then go to my first impression of Dangerous, maybe?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Just 'cause I feel like I just talked for a really long time, and I mainly didn't talk about the game we played today. I talked about the 1980s game.
Yeah, no worries at all, man. I mean, my first question was why you picked Dangerous, so that's a good reasoning as to why. So
it's just entirely because the first game was so influential, and I wanted to see what they got up to, with modern technology.
So my first experience with Elite Dangerous was I loaded in, I started doing the tutorial, finished the tutorial, started feeling woozy, closed the game, didn't play it for a few days. But we'll give it this immediately, was like, damn, this game's pretty, right? Loaded it up a few days later, did not remember a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So deleted my character and redid the tutorial, and then I hurt my back.
Yeah, you had a cursed start to this one.
It was it really was. It was fucking cursed. And so when I started it the third time, I didn't do the tutorial again. I said, I'm going to raw dog this. And I did, until me and you hopped on mic and you were like, oh, do this, and this, and your life will be a hell of a lot easier. And I did, and it was.
Yeah. Just the difference between knowing how to deal with scanning nav beacons and having a fuel scoop on your ship. It really changes the universe.
Yeah, it made things a hell of a lot easier on me. So those are my first impressions. But I'll say, like, I was just like, this game looks really good. That was my big first impression. I was like, okay, this game's kind of old now. Mm. It's probably showing its age. It's really not. Like, it really looks fucking nice.
And to be fair, it is still a game under active development, but it's more or less looked like this the entire time. Like, yes, it's had to compete with No Man's Sky and more recently Starfield, but this is kind of, those games also had to look with the way they do to compete with this one.
Yeah, 100%. So your first impression with Dangerous, sir.
Okay, so I honestly didn't even start the game until I looked up several tutorials and read a bunch, because I was like, I know whatever I want to do immediately is probably going to be wrong. Like, I knew that the first game had that much of a learning curve, and I knew that this game was famously very complex. So I figured, even if I, was following tutorials and all that, I still wanted to double check that I wasn't going down some dummy path, Because there are more decisions to make in this game than there were in the original Elite. In the original Elite, you are always flying the Cobra Mark III. In this game, there are at least 50 playable ships. Yeah,
that was interesting when it was like, they start you off in the
Sidewinder.
The Sidewinder. Yeah. And like, that thing is such an odd shape to me for being a ship. Mm. It's just like a rhombus.
Yeah.
That's just the first thing that stood out to me about the ship. I was like, this is very square. Mm. Interesting looking. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of decision making, but like, I was also very happy when I found out that the game starts you off in the tutorial region, where basically, as long as you're in the starting space, you basically can't get attacked unless you volunteer to fight something. So like, you don't have to worry about pirates coming for your cargo if you do courier missions within the starting 10 systems. I found out that they have a nickname for the starting 10 systems in the wider community, by the way. They call it the Nubula.
Ah, tremendous. I like that a lot.
But so once you get a rank in any of the Pilot Federation rank systems, which there are 6 different rank systems in Elite Odyssey and 4 in the original Elite Dangerous, and there was only one ranking scale in the first game, which was the combat ranking. The other ones are scaled in a similar way to the combat ranking. So you know how earlier I said you would be harmless and then mostly harmless and then novice, then competent in combat? Well, in this, if you're a trader, for instance, you will be, I think, penniless, then mostly penniless, and then a dealer, and then a merchant, and so forth.
Yeah, and then the one that I was doing, I think it was useless and then mostly useless.
Yeah, I think that sounds
for
right.
Transport.
Yeah. I think that was like...
Which is funny.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you.
What was funny to me was we were having a conversation when I was talking about one of the first missions I was starting to do. I was like, so they gave me this mission to go and land on this planet, and I was supposed to land in this city, but for some reason the city wouldn't give me landing permission, so I landed near it, got out of my ship, and ran towards the city, and I was like, and I got into the city, but there was nowhere for me to actually enter it because I didn't enter it the proper way, so I couldn't just go in, and I suffocated and died. And I remember your response was just like, I'm sorry, you what? Because you didn't have Odyssey at the time, and you were like, what the fuck did you do?
I thought it sounded like he was hallucinating a different game, because the Odyssey DLC is where all of the on-foot activity is. Like, All of it. The entire, if you're in a spaceport in the original Elite Dangerous game, it's all menu navigation. You can't disembark from your ship and go walk around the station like you can with the DLC. So I bet that was a real interesting thing for people that had been playing the game or the series for a really long time, and they finally got the ability to walk around Lave Station and stuff like that for the very first time.
Yeah, and that's what tripped me out, because the first time I ever loaded the game and started playing, it drops me into a tutorial for first-person shooter stuff.
Yes, if you have the DLC, you get a different starting tutorial than you do in the normal game.
Yeah, and I was like, what? But I will say, it's kind of cool if you own the DLC but don't want to play the DLC. There are like different versions of the game that you can select.
Yes.
And you can just go and play normal Elite Dangerous without the Odyssey stuff if you wanted.
Yeah. Because like I found I'm not doing a ton of the on-foot stuff, but I still kind of like having the option, even though I haven't like bought myself any gear for on-foot.
Yeah, I did, because I was gonna be like, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna be an on-foot assassin.
Yeah, you want to be a commando.
Watched about how well that first one went for me.
Well, I think you might have bit off more than you chew. If I saw it correctly, it looked like you picked a group mission for yourself.
Yeah, man, Rambo.
Rambo don't ride a Sidewinder.
that's
you need to be Rambo in a Lambo, dude.
I want to be Rambo in a Beluga.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about different ships. There's different.
Roll up at a yacht and kill somebody.
Yeah, there's different lines of ships too. Like the ones Dalton's talking about. He wants to get the basically the luxury passenger liners. Because driving people from place to place is a pretty great way to make money in this game. Maybe the most efficient one I've seen so far.
Yeah, and I've learned that, at least in this game, I much prefer to like be passive instead of being combative. Mm-hmm. Because I get lost trying to do space dogfighting.
Yeah.
In first person. Third person, not so bad. But in first person, it can really... it can spin me around, and I'm like, oh shit, where the fuck am I?
Oh yeah, because the other guy's trying to lose you too, so they make wacky little maneuvers, and it's really, if your opponent gets behind you, it's a little bit hard to find them, especially because this game does have thrusters in every direction in addition to having the normal, forward movement. So your opponent might be turning around and thrusting up at the same time or something. Yeah,
and it's just, there was a lot going on for me. So when I figured out that there were a lot of missions that I could do that were not combative, and I could just shuffle people from one place to another, shuttle people and make a bunch of money. Like, I'm currently on a mission right now that I decided not to finish before we recorded because it was going to take another like hour and a half.
It literally, he had done over 100 jumps before we started this mission, and he still has like 30 to go. Yeah.
So we started playing before we recorded at like 9:30, and I was like, all right, I'll do this mission and then we'll start recording. And 2 hours later, a little over, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to finish this mission before we... Let's just record. I'll finish this later. But it pays almost 1 million credits, and that will buy me my first luxury liner.
Yep.
So
you've had your eye on a dolphin, I believe, ever since you saw it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They look incredible.
They have such really cool lines. Like the God, what are they called? Like Solder Loud or something like that. The line of ships that they all have these really like, the reason they're called like the Orca, the Beluga, and the Dolphin, they have these beautiful curves to them that really do put you in the mind of like a really hydrodynamic, swimmy mammal.
Yeah, and the dolphin to me it actually makes me think of a dolphin, not a bottlenose dolphin.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like the head of a dolphin. Yeah. And I'm like, and of course I sent you the song Flying Whales by Gojira, because I'm just immediately like, yeah, and that's another Hitchhiker's Guide thing, whales in space.
Yep.
And yeah, I was just like, so I'm like, I'm going to get this, and I'm going to call my company like Gojira's Flying Whales or something like that. It's just it has to happen. I will tell you this, Willie. When I first started playing this game, I was very much like, this game is probably not going to be for me.
Oh, I understand that. Like, I thought there was a good chance it wouldn't be for me just because of how technical it is, that if you bounce off of an element of it, it would be real easy to get frustrated and go, I'll do something else now. Like I did the first several times I first tried to play the original.
It's very dense.
Yes.
But once I started cracking at it, and you gave me the couple tips that you did that really helped things along, like, I'm enjoying it a little more now that I kind of know what I'm doing, because this is very much one of those games to me, it seems like, where you kind of make your own thing.
Yes, absolutely.
You're in a sandbox, so once I kind of figured that out and was like, okay, so there's no main quest, I'm just doing these quests to make money and yada yada. I was like, okay, so now I have a goal, is to get my dolphin, and then my goal is going to be to get an orca, then into beluga, so that I have goals now. It helps in these kind of games. It's kind of like Fallout games. I like to have a base that I can go and store my ammo and my stim packs and stuff like that, and I know that that's like a home base.
Yeah.
It's like, I like to have certain things like that.
I feel this genre of games in general, like the Elite games, the Escape Velocity games, all of that, I think that they do a lot better if you find yourself the kind of person that makes their own goals as you go. Like, if you're the kind of player that played Skyrim to do the Civil War and the main quest, maybe not. If you're the kind of person that spent 20 hours doing random alchemy bullshit, this might be your speed.
That'd be me, yeah. It also reminds me of Mountain Blade.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me.
Mountain Blade, Bannerlord, and Bannerlord 2 is very much like it is a sandbox game. Like, you start off as a dude, and you do what you want to do. Do you want to be a trader and trade between places? You can. Do you want to just join someone else's army? You can. Do you want to start your own army and kingdom? You can. Do you just want to be a bandit? You can. Like, there's all this kinds of stuff that you can do. You want to be a Coliseum fighter? Do it. Like, but there's no, like, there is an overarching goal. It's like, you're looking for your brother and sister. That's it. And then everything else is kind of up to you and how you want your person's life to live.
Yeah, and I would say that that's kind of a similar openness to this game too, where you have even very similar career options. You could be a bandit or pirate. You could be a combat specialist. Like, you could be a bounty hunter, essentially. You could be a PvP player who specializes in the QCQ mode, which I'll probably never touch because I find fighting NPCs, scary enough. I can't imagine playing against someone that's playing optimally.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. All these people who've been playing this since it came out.
Or for people who've been playing this since 1982.
Yeah, even more so.
Because, I've heard someone once say, like, if you've been playing the series, someone asked a thread I was reading, and people had different answers to this, obviously, but someone said something along the lines of, I have about 300 hours in Elite Dangerous. I still feel like a new player. What do you guys think is the difference between a new player, an experienced player, and a veteran? And some people were like, I've played for 1,000 hours and I still have ships I haven't flown, things I haven't done, things I still want to do, goals to reach. One person even said, if you've been playing the series since the original game came out, you are a veteran. If you've been playing only since this game came out in 2012, you are a new player. If you started on Frontier Frontier First Encounters, you're a journeyman. Which I think the guy was taking the piss to some extent, but even to that point, I could kind of see that being the case to some extent.
Yeah, it's like when you say, like, oh yeah, I've been playing Elite Dangerous for since it released, and then that meme just shows Gandalf as like, I was forged in the fires of, and then it's edited in Elite.
Yeah,
for the Commodore. Speak to me not of your dangerousness.
I do think also it's funny that if I remember correctly, Dangerous is the third to highest combat rating in this game too, which kind of like means this game is basically called like King Prince. Champion Bronze Medal.
Goddamn, that's, yeah. So I do want to talk about, like, there are hilarious ways to die in this game.
Oh yeah, my first death was amazing. I sent you guys a message about it, and you kind of guessed, but you didn't say exactly what it was. But yeah, I'd love to hear some of your first stupid deaths, because I'm sure they were crazy.
Yeah, well, I told you about the first one, suffocating.
Yeah, dying,
trying to run around outside.
I feel like on foot is somehow even more dangerous than the actual space flight in this game.
So the second time I died in the game, I believe I was on mic with you, and I had a bounty or something that I did not know about, and I landed. I remember what it was. I was going to land in this place because I had a mission there. And I couldn't get clearance to land for some reason. So I landed outside of it, made my way in, and tried to avoid guards to get to the person that I needed to deliver.
That's right. You told me about this, but I wasn't watching for it. But you did tell me this after it happened.
And I come rolling up to the person, and I'm like, oh, there they are. I had managed to make my way to a computer, highlight the person so I could find them on the radar. I go over to them, and I click them, and they turn around, and they pull out a shotgun, and they one-shot me. Boom! Oh. All right, I guess that mission's failed. And then the other time that jumped out to me that I died was you and I were both flying around this area, and I was trying to land. And for some reason, I don't know if it's because we were in group or just I fucked up, but my auto landing was not working. And I tried to dock. They told me to dock, so I docked, and I docked in the wrong spot. And they were like, you're in the wrong thing. You're going to be trespassing soon. And I panicked and started hitting a bunch of buttons. And I pulled my guns out and I shot one time. That was a mistake because I then got blown to smithereens.
Yeah, my very first death, it happened, I'd been playing the game for maybe 15 to 20 hours. I didn't get killed smuggling illegal cargo across different lines of mega powers. Or are they called the super? I think they're the superpowers are the 3/4 big ones. I didn't get killed doing that. I didn't get killed when I was fighting against pirate ships. I didn't get killed, trespassing and scanning nav beacons. The one time I did get killed is that I managed to somehow screw up my landing in a starbase so badly that I got stuck on the slot that leads into it, and they executed me for loitering.
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
Yeah,
like you got
air safety is important.
A timer.
You basically have 30 seconds to clear out before you are KOS.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're taking off? You got 5 minutes to get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, you're landing? You got 10 minutes to land properly or we're blowing you the fuck up.
And you remember that thing earlier I was saying about the constantly rotating mail slot on the front of the Lave station in the original Elite? Yeah, the starports are still built like that. You still have to find basically the front of the ship, or the station. It's still constantly rotating, and you do have to carefully put yourself into it.
Unless you are me.
Yes, now here is a feature that I really, really appreciate about this game.
Yeah, so there are certain modules that you can attach to your ship.
That the default Sidewinder comes with, by the way, and so do most of the low-level ships.
Yes, and I will be checking, when I get my Dolphin, I will be checking it. If it doesn't have it, it will be getting it.
Well, the good thing is those are all level 1 optionals, I believe, so they are not going to use up your more important slots.
So there is a auto launch.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just hit launch and your ship will take off and launch out properly and get you a safe distance away, and then you regain control, a la taking off from a space station in No Man's Sky.
Yes.
But it's not as quick as the No Man's Sky one. And then there is auto dock. So you be hauling ass towards a place in super acceleration or whatever it's called, and you pop out with your assist when you start to get there. If you're using the assist, it just slows you down and then pops you out. And you have to get, is it 7,500 meters?
Yeah, 7.5 kilometers, 7,500 meters. You said it right the first time.
Yeah, so 7.5 km. You have to get at least that close before they will consider allowing you to dock. Now, that took me a little bit to figure out. Even though I did the tutorial twice, still took me a little bit to remember that. Okay, but once I did, you get in within that zone. I just look over at my screen, but there's a button you can hit that'll pull up a screen, and you click
contacts.
Thank you. You go into the contacts and you request permission to dock, and they give you permission, and then your auto thing says slow down to auto dock, and then I just kill my engine, and it takes over and just auto does its thing. And let me tell you, me and Willie were watching one last night where even Willie was like, oh, okay, now your guy's just showing up.
Yeah.
Because the way that he landed, like he came in sideways and then he like approaches the thing and then he goes towards the landing pad, then he turns upside down and comes down and then just does this weird pirouette in air and then just lands. And Willie's like, yeah, he's just showing off. Fuck him.
Also, I would like to point out that while you're using the auto, to the audience, because you probably noticed it too, while you're using the auto launch and auto dock features, the game happily plays you some nice classical waltz music like the Blue Danube to really just give you that 2001 vibe.
Yeah. There's a couple moments in this game where you'll just get little bursts of music, like on these travel missions that I've been doing. When I get to the location that I need to be to scan the beacon or whatever it is, a different style of music plays, and I'm like, oh, I'm here.
Yeah, and as you can imagine in missions where you're hunting pirates and stuff, you get a different kind of music when you're getting, once you start getting interdicted out of space or out of Super Cruise, there's 3 different speeds of flight. There's regular flight, Super Cruise where you can get up to or above the speed of light, and then there's jump where you go from star to star. So you kind of like Super Cruise, yeah, it's warp, light speed, and normal speed. It's kind of similar to like how in No Man's Sky you have basically like the big boost, and then you have like the between systems boost, and then you have like just regular space.
Yeah, man. I will say there's a lot of this game I feel like I don't know yet. And again, I've only played, let me go look.
I think you were on almost 30 hours.
35.8 hours.
Okay.
So I would say 30 of that's probably played. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I do have one fuck you to this game. Actually, I have 2 fuck yous to this game, but I got to get one out now.
Yeah.
When you hit play on this game on Steam, it then brings up a launcher.
Oh, yeah. I was just going... I noticed this too, and I'm glad you vocalized it.
So, okay, put yourself in my position. I was really fucking hurting, and I hooked it up to play on my TV. So I load up big screen mode, and I'm laying in bed, and I click play, and the screen goes black, and my computer monitor brings up the fucking thing, the launcher over on my computer. So I'm like, oh, God damn it. So I get up, and I meander over there, and it says, do you want to log in as Steam Machine Dalton or whatever? I said, yes. And I turned around, and I went, and I crawled back into bed, got comfortable, and then looked at another black screen and looked back over, and I had to then click play again in the launcher. It made my crippled ass get up 3 times to play this fucking game, and I was like, God damn it, fuck you. Frontier, fuck you for having this launcher.
It is kind of weird.
I'm not so mad about it now.
Yeah,
but
it is weird that the launcher launches you into a main menu when the launcher probably should have been the main menu. Because it doesn't really do that much other than open the main menu and show you an ad for the latest, like, real money ship if you feel like doing that.
And there's my other one that I want to talk about. They do have real money stuff, and it makes sense, though, knowing that this is an MMO. It makes sense that there's a cash shop to me. Like, I hate that that's normalized, but that's just the way it is. They got to make money somehow. If off people who've been playing since forever, unless you're Hello Games. But the arcs in this game is the cash shop currency. You can earn them playing, but I've been playing for 35 hours and I've earned roughly like 170, I think.
Yeah, I would say I'm not quite 400 yet. And the price of a ship, the new ship package, for instance, is 16,800.
Yeah, it's 16,000. And here's the thing. You can get a new ship package for 16,000. You want a really cool looking spacesuit? That motherfucker's like 25,000.
Yeah, I have no idea what the scaling on arcs is meant to be based on. And I haven't looked up what the real money cost of it is either. But I guess that's also so that buying ships isn't pay to win. It's like, it's just you're basically getting a ship free with its own cosmetics.
Yeah, let's see. Items available for this game.
Yeah, look up how much it costs to get 10,000 arcs or something.
So for 5,000 arcs, is $3.99.
Okay, that's actually better than I expected.
The most expensive one is 85,000 arcs plus 15,000 bonus arcs.
So 100,000
for
$50.
$59.99.
Okay.
For $60 you can get 100,000.
Okay, and that would basically probably buy you out of an entire category of things because, like I said, the whole ship package was like 17,000. So, and it feels like most of the things you buy come in packages. Although I didn't see exactly how that worked because the moment I realized this was a cash shop only thing, I kind of ducked out of the customized mode.
Yeah, I will say when I went in and I bought that new suit, and I went in and looked at the customizations, I did have some unlocked. I don't know how. But there were like 3 different styles that you could choose between for the different things. So my suit's like, it's the Artemis suit, but I have like some lime green metal sheen parts on it and stuff from one of the little choices.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of those, if there are also things that you can get just for being there during an event too. Because I know that like there was a 40th anniversary patch that they gave away, for instance, a couple years ago that, we obviously just missed, but,
yeah.
So that like there are permanent free decals and stuff you can get in addition for events. Like I think there was also something for there was probably something for the launch of Odyssey, for instance. And I'm sure we probably got a few things because we bought Odyssey, so they probably came with a few things for the thing. But you probably had to claim it while the event was going on for some of the things like the anniversary.
I will say, like, I came upon an NPC that I was doing one of the quests to deliver stuff to, and he had like this really cool, like, I call it a samurai hat, but you know what I'm talking about, like that Asian rice field big kind of hat. Raiden hat, like Raiden hat.
Yeah, I get what you mean now. When you said samurai hat, I thought you meant like a helmet and forgot the word.
Yeah, as soon as I said samurai hat, I'm like, that's not what I meant. I meant Raiden hat.
Yeah, I know what you meant when you brought up farmers and stuff. I got it at that point. But.
So he kind of had a hat that looked like that.
That's cool.
But then like his face was covered by like a ninja looking mask, but it was like an oxygen, because it's space. So it's still a helmet. I'm like, that's fucking cool. And I found that helmet for 22,500 arcs.
That seems really ridiculous for an on-foot. It must come with a package of things, right? Though it's not just a hat by itself.
I hope it would come with like the entire outfit instead of just the helmet for that much. But still, it seems like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Whatever. That does not take away from the fun of the game because I didn't find any of that necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even ever seeing myself in third person, so I don't care what I look like to other people. I'm still playing solo, or I forgot what the walled garden mode is, but there's basically a private match mode where you could just queue with your friend. And so here's the cool thing about those solo and private modes, though, is the multiplayer universe is still persistent. So even when you're in, your own shard or whatever, you still see fleet carriers that other people put down in places, and you can see what they're named and stuff. And you can see who the owner is. I saw one that was owned by a dude named Ozmataz Buckshank, that sketch from the Key and Peele show with the football player names.
And I find that that's one thing cool that Shroud of the Avatar doesn't do in its single player mode, because in online mode you can come across literal towns that were built by players.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they own the town, and they decorated it and everything. They're not there in the solo mode.
Yeah,
in the solo mode you just get the standard game.
So we should point out this.
But in Elite,
this is a solo mode, not an offline mode. The universe the players build, they build together. When a new star is colonized, and the main outpost of it gets named after the person who donated the most to get it built, that is in everyone's game.
Yeah. Whereas the one I'm talking about, it is an offline version of the same story you can play through in the MMO. You can just play it single player, which is still cool. But I do think that Elite has the hand up as far as the world being persistent in both.
And I kind of think No Man's Sky had something similar to what Elite does too, where it's not really single player online, but the fact is you can really easily go very far without seeing another actual human in the space you're in. And Elite's kind of like that too, except Elite is more centralized than No Man's Sky. In No Man's Sky, the universe is pretty evenly distributed. In Elite, the stars are based on real NASA data. It actually is the Milky Way. At some point, we get out of the space that we've actually figured out as humans, and then it's procedurally generated stuff. But if you wanted to go to Arcturus or Bernard Star or Vega or Sol, you can go there.
Yeah, I went to Bernard Star earlier, and I didn't realize that was a real place. I just said it oh, Bernard Star, that's a cool name, and you were like, that's real, and I'm like, really? So that was cool shit, man.
Yeah, there are places I want to visit just because they're important in other games that take place in the Milky Way. I want to go see what's going on in Capella just because of the importance it holds in free space too. Although
I hope there's somebody there named
real Capella. Sorry, that was a really dumb Nickelodeon joke. But you'd like the silver. Yeah, you're doing the Chrome. Thank you. You're doing the Chrome. I like it. He mimics the Chrome hands. Which, now that I think about it, if you did that to me today and I didn't know you were doing Chrome, and you're like, it's eyes, I'd be like, oh yeah, Pan's Labyrinth, dude, nice.
Hey, I mean, that would just tell me oh, okay, you're more cultured than I was expecting.
But yeah, I wanted to go to Earth, but it turns out you need to. So Sol is run by the Federation. There are three main factions in the power. We should probably talk about how the multiplayer and the factions work, even if we haven't got too deep into it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so there are 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how you count it, main superpowers in the universe. The Federation is basically the space future version of, the Earth government that eventually went out into space and colonized things. It's kind of a continuation of what happened after World War III, kind of a continuation of the United States of America, as it kind of became a world government over time and turned from the United States of America to the United States of the Americas to the United Federation of Earth to the United Federation of Planets or whatever. And then breaking away from them was the Empire, who are very much space Romans. They have it completely, if the Federation is about at least nominal freedom and stuff, the Space Romans are more about flaunting your wealth and, they believe in indentured servitude and stuff. If you're in Imperial space, you can trade what are called Imperial slaves from one planet to another, but you don't want to bring that shit into Federation Reliance space, because that's...
Yeah, I would think not.
Yeah.
Is that one dude?
Which dude?
Is that his section? Blonde, really menacing looking?
No, that dude's a pirate. He's technically independent.
Oh.
No, you remember the person that you talked about, the kind of really serious looking lady and that you saw on one ship, and I mentioned she's the Emperor? Yeah, she's the one that's kind of behind all that. And also the blue-haired anime princess, she's kind of opposed to it within the system. So she's the Imperial princess that's against the slavery or whatever. Which I think is probably why she's the most popular faction in... There's a second layer of factions called Power Play, which I'm going to get into next, where you side with one of 12 individual people who... Then that's what the multiplayer is mostly based on.
Okay.
So, hold on. I said the Empire and the Federation. There's also... In the original Elite, there was GalCop, the Galactic Cooperative of Workers, or the Galactic Cooperative Powers, or something like that, which it has disintegrated since then. There was massive scandal, and in the wake of it, the Federation and the Empire took over a bunch of land, but then there was a counter-rebellion, and so now in those areas is a group called the Alliance, which kind of holds almost kind of like the Rebels from Star Wars type of view. The individual planets have a lot more individual freedom. It's more of a confederation than a central government.
Bunch of libertarians.
Yeah, I think that they could be kind of seen as the space libertarians, but also so can the Federation, especially because it depends on which group you're talking about. Like in the Alliance, one of the wings is associated with the guy who runs Sirius Corporation, which is like one of the biggest companies, and that company's getting so powerful that they've become the de facto fourth superpower, even though they're technically independent. But like their leader, for instance, is one of the factions you can join. And so one of the things that if you pick one of the Alliance people versus the other, it's whether you're in favor of the Alliance allying with Sirius Corporation or opposed to that. So there's like...
there's layers to this.
Yeah. It's like at first I thought about joining the Sirius guy because I thought, it seems kind of cool. And then I read his description. I'm like, oh... Everyone who works for him probably likes Elon Musk. I'm not joining this group.
Yeah, I was going to say probably Tech Mobile vibes.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, because they are like, a manufacturer. It's also weird. The Alliance, out of the three the three superpowers, the real ones, they're the only one that doesn't have a navy. You can't join their navy the same way you can for the Empire and the Federation.
So what do you do?
You just work with them. Sirius has a navy, but you can't join them either. So that's basically thing is there's the three major factions with independents outside of them, like pirate run ship state places and all that. Like the guy you're talking about that looks really cool and menacing. He's the leader of the Kumo crew, who I think his name is like Archon Versailles or something like that. Like it's
and I feel like you told me that he's widely considered as like a man of his word.
Yes, but
to a T.
The very dangerously so.
Yeah. Like if he tells you, I will cut your eyeball out and shove it up your butt, you can guarantee he's going to cut your eyeball out and shove it up your butt.
Yeah, there was a pull quote on his page that was something very much like that being said by one of the other leaders. And it was like, that's why he's the most trustworthy of all of us, really.
Yeah, it's a weird dichotomy to have where it's like he's an absolute violent psychopath, but he's straight up with you.
Yeah.
It's like if you can navigate that, you might be all right.
Yeah, so all of the power play factions, all of them have like that kind of thing where they might be like, corporate leaders who are trying to make their company into a de facto country, or they might be like, an imperial princess doing, a bunch of side stuff to try to get political intrigue to work out in her favor, or they could be like space Democrats and space Republicans, which are what the Federation main leaders are. Or there's like Yuri Grom, who basically he almost looks like he's out of the Soviet Union or something, and he's like a recent defector from the Federation who's flying like a group of former Federation pilots who are like basically de facto also kind of their own country at this point. So it's just there's a lot of choices. But
yeah, I was saying with what I'm gonna do, I don't know who to choose. I just want to be Taxi Man.
Yep, that's the other thing too. Is you don't have to pick a side. You can just taxi people from place to place. God, there was another one that was like there's a cult leader. So there's all kinds of things. And then the other layer is of factions is I can't remember if they're called like mini powers or minor. I think it's minor powers maybe, and that's the people that run each individual system, like each station you go to. There's like 4 or 5 minor powers, and some of them represent the Federation, the Alliance, the Empire, and some of them are independent. And players work for those guys, and it builds them influence within that system. And whichever one ends up with the most influence runs that star, basically. And so that makes it, whether it's Federation space or independent space or Alliance space or all that.
As silly as it is, I can relate that to Final Fantasy XI because you have Sandoria, Bostock, and Windurst. Those are your 3 home starting cities. And each one of those has like the campaign going on. Mm-hmm. And the higher your standing is in certain areas, you will gain control of that area. And then back in your homeland, there will be vendors that open up that only have stuff from that area, but you can only access those if you have control of that area and stuff like that. So I can kind of get a correlation there where I know what I pick up what you're putting down.
Yeah, and like there are real world implications to like what power play guy runs the star and what faction runs the star. Like I noticed one place I went to was run by Edmund Mann, for instance, and places run by Edmund Mann have 5% cheaper prices on all agricultural goods. So like that just automatically changed the economy of that area just because the multiplayer people were winning that part of the battle. That it suddenly made that area a great place to pick up farm goods and stuff.
Word up.
And
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think some of them offer like specialized weaponry that you can only get if you're part of that power play faction. Like I've heard Yuri Grom has something they call Grom bombs.
I got your Grom bomb right here.
Like, even picking Yuri Grom was, like, complicated, because I was reading more about him, because he was the one I was most drawn to, because I like the idea that he's, kind of an honorable former Federation, guy who's, like, ruling things by doing it right, basically. But then I looked it up, and you know how he got in the game? They had a competition between people who wanted to make one of the several minor factions into a major faction. Yuri's supporters won because the actual players cheated and used bots.
Oh.
So it's like, that kind of puts a stink on the whole character for me. He's like the only guy that was put there by human effort, but because the humans kind of cheated at it.
Now, has there ever been any EVE Online levels of the deception and shit and sabotage that's happened in this game?
No, because I think this game, the majorest of major factions aren't player run the same way they are in that. There's still more of a static universe with its own background story, whereas EVE Online is entirely a playground. But Aisling Duval will always be there as the princess of the Empire, whether or not players shoot down a bunch of ships associated with her. That character is like written into the universe as fiction.
Yeah, there was a Down the Rabbit Hole is the channel on YouTube. I don't know the actual channel, but that's, if you search Down the Rabbit Hole, it will bring it up.
I know what you're talking about. They do a lot of really good documentaries on stuff.
Yeah, they did like a 5.5 hour video on this shit that happened in EVE Online.
I think the thing that makes EVE Online most interesting to talk about the drama for is that it's possible to pay for EVE Online hours, like pay another month of your subscription with in-game currency, which means there's a way to translate damages done in the game to real-world currency. So you can say that, like, when the Swarm destroyed the first Titan, it cost 10,000 real-world dollars, for instance. And that just makes for really good stories, I feel like.
Yeah, because it's like you have something built up and you're like, man, I'm making so much money. I have X amount. And then someone in your group that you thought you trusted usurps you and destroys your shit and becomes a traitor. And suddenly all your shit's gone.
EVE Online, honest to God, the shit I've read about it makes Game of Thrones look like freaking a childhood story about bunnies that drink tea.
Yeah, it's too much for me. I like reading about it.
Yeah, I can't imagine playing the game too, because the actual gameplay itself looks super boring, and it looks like it would only be fun if you got into the politics. The rest of it looks like Space Spreadsheet Simulator or Shoot Rock version 1.0.
Yeah, and no thanks. No, I'm good. It's like I don't even want to play games where they have hardcore characters where your character can just straight die and gone.
Yeah, and that
I appreciate.
Oh, I think we're going to the same place.
I appreciate though that most games, like I think Diablo 4 does this. If your hardcore character dies, it just gets put onto a normal server. You just can't play on the hardcore server anymore.
Oh, that is nice. That isn't what I thought we were going to say. I thought we were going to talk about, like, it's really nice that this game has basically an insurance mode where if your ship gets blown up, you have an insurance, so you can basically rebuy it for 5%-ish of the actual value of the ship, including everything you've added to it. And the starting Sidewinder, the ship you start off in at the beginning of the game, much like an EVE Online frigate, is free. If you blow that thing up, you get a new one free of charge. If you get so bankrupt and so in debt that you can't afford to recall any of your ships, you can get a new Sidewinder and start a new life in the same old world.
Yeah, which I really appreciate that as well.
Because I've definitely died and had to go in debt at one point, and it is not fun having your wages virtually garnished.
I really appreciate some of the detail that they put in this game as far as planets go. Like, there are really some really pretty looking planets and stars.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Like, I sent you a screenshot earlier of this brown dwarf. Mm-hmm. Now, you hear brown dwarf and you're thinking, but But this thing was like a beautifully radiant purple and pink. Like it was really pretty.
The funny thing too is I was trying to tell you about that star or that star class earlier because I mentioned at one point I passed by a brown dwarf and it was this amazing like vibrant purple color, but it was a cool glow at the same time. But then you described it and you saw an entirely different thing where you're like, it's kind of almost planet-like with the different stripes of like pink and purple, magenta and all that. But we were both describing like a class T cool brown dwarf star and I didn't really realize it until you sent me a picture of one. And even though I described the same star to you earlier, you were just as much like, look at this cool thing. Like just seeing it yourself is completely different. Like there's a sense that this game gives that I think No Man's Sky is also really good at is just giving you the sense of wonder of exploration. Like it doesn't just feel like every star is the same.
Yeah. And I wonder if this...
I feel like they both work in different ways too, because I think No Man's Sky benefits more from the fact that it has fantasy elements to it too. So you can land on places that are like anomalous that look entirely insane compared to real universe terrain generation.
The place I was telling you, or I sent the picture of to you the other day, that went monochrome as I was approaching it. And then as I went in, you thought I was underwater because there was just so many bubbles everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of stuff's in No Man's Sky that's really cool. Whereas in Elite... Mm-hmm. I am curious, though, because there are things that I've seen in Elite that are referred to as Titans that I haven't seen yet. Mm. And I'm like, ooh, what's a Titan? Because that makes me think of Mechanism music, and I'm intrigued. Yeah,
there is an alien invasion story that's kind of been on and off, and Titans are basically the big hive ships of the Thargoids, which are the only alien race from the original story that still exists. It's just humans and Thargoids.
I'd love to just see one.
Oh, I haven't even got to go see one yet. I couldn't tell you what they look like up close and personal.
Yeah, it's another thing I've noticed in the map on Elite Dangerous is that there are a lot of markers that I do not know what they mean yet.
Oh yeah,
but there's lots of reds and yellows and blues, and I'm like, whoa, no idea what that. I guess I'll see what it is when I get there.
Yeah. And then to me, like when I was saying that the cool thing about No Man's Sky is that they have the fantasy element for each star because it's a fictionalized universe. Then the cool thing to me about No Man's Sky is the fact that the stuff that's No Man's Sky. The cool thing to me about Elite Dangerous that it has even over the original Elite is that it's based on real NASA data for the Milky Way and stuff. So if you do get to the Sol system, you can visit, humanity's birthplace on Earth. You can visit, the Federation capital on Mars, etc. If you go to, systems near Earth, it'll be, things that you recognize from your night sky. And then I went out a really long way and found stuff I recognized from the original Elite game. I would landed on Lave for the first time, which I was never able to do in Elite Original. And I felt so psyched up by that.
Which you never could do until now.
Exactly. Somehow I got the confidence. And earlier today, a few hours before recording, I pulled out the Commodore version again on an emulator, not an actual Commodore. I don't have one set up anywhere nearby. But I managed to land at Lave. And then I took a trip to Dico, however it's pronounced. And I made a successful landing there. I made some trades. I made some money. I made a third jump. I died on landing on that one. But 2 is a lifetime record so far for successful landings in Elite for the Commodore 64.
Oh, yeah, man.
And then, so, I went into the game. I jumped from Lave to Dico in Elite Dangerous. I'm like, wow, it's that, but all real and rendered. And then it still exists in a few hundred light years from Earth in like a combined version of the real Milky Way and the procedurally generated crazy system from the original games.
And one of the thing that I like about it too, and then I'll ask you if we got anything else.
I've got plenty else. There's so many things we haven't even discussed about. Like, we haven't talked about mining at all, which is a completely valid way to make money. We haven't talked about... you barely even touched on anything you do, aside from you said you shuttle people from places to other places. But you haven't talked about the difference between one-way trips versus sightseeing missions, which is the one you've been currently on, trying to save up money for your dolphin.
Yeah, which is just you either take them from point A to point B, or sightseeing, it's a round trip.
A round trip that has multiple points that are sometimes hundreds of light years apart.
They can be real long. Trust me, they can be real long.
Yeah, Dalton is in an Adder, which is a good ship for basic exploration, but as a taxi going a couple hundred light years, he's having to make a lot of... I just realized I have a way to save you some of that time, but it might be a little bit riskier. There is actually a setting in the galactic map you can use that changes it from most economical, which means it'll always try to pass you through fuel stars, to fastest, which tries to give you the fewest number of jumps. I have mine set to fastest. But I do like that you're being very safe with it. Ever since you got the fuel scoop, I watched you play it when you first got it. And the moment you learned the fuel scoop, you were like immediately so much more confident. Just jump, scoop, move away, jump, scoop, move away, jump, scoop, overheat, throw a heat sink, scoop a little bit more, jump.
Yeah, and that's been a learning that has made things a lot easier too. And I don't mind taking them the long way. Like in reality, I was just rushing to try to do it before the show, but the
mission's called sightseeing.
I would much rather have I would rather have the safety of knowing that it's going to take me along places that I can refuel than get to the point where I had like 15% fuel and I'm like, shit, I need to find somewhere to refuel right now.
The good news is if you do actually run out of fuel, one thing you can do is take note of the system you're in, turn the game offline, go to the Fuel Rats website. There's a group called the Fuel Rats. They're a real-life volunteer force. On average, they can... What you'll do is you'll send them a request on the thing, log back into the game in multiplayer mode. On average, they show up to wherever you are in the universe within 7 minutes, real time. A volunteer force that kicks the shit out of, AAA.
Yeah, that's impressive. What do they charge you?
They accept donations. It's mostly just something veteran players do to help either newbies or people that got a little bit beyond their abilities. Because a lot of players do exploration. They try to go to new systems to get... Because if you're the first person to discover something, the cartographic data is worth a ton. So some people will fly above or below the elliptical plane of the galaxy. Because you know how the galaxies are shaped. It's a flat disk with arms. So some people try to go above or below, essentially. And those areas are unexplored. They won't have human populations, but you'll be more likely to find a new star that no one's ever seen.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about, that happens even in this game. Mm-hmm. So there's shit that people just haven't seen.
Yeah. I mean,
which makes sense because there's a lot.
I had the same feeling in No Man's Sky. Like when we were the first to discover certain systems, and even though they were procedurally generated with funny procedural generated names, it's like, hey, we were the first. This is ours.
Yep, 100%, dog. But yeah, I really enjoy just popping in between places and kind of just looking around before I zoom out to the next one, and I like the funny names that I come across. So it's
I love seeing the names of player generated stuff too, because like players can name their fleet carriers, which are kind of the equivalent of like the corvettes and freighters in No Man's Sky, I think, where they're like big old ships that mostly stay there, and then you put your whole fleet on them and jump elsewhere. And they always have just crazy names, like. I don't know. I think we mentioned a few of them we saw earlier, but I'm blanking on them now. Yeah. But most people tend to just give them like poetic names because they're kind of like a point of pride. They're incredibly expensive to get and take a lot of real time to acquire.
And I like that there is a faction in the game and they're real. They're in the game. They're not a player thing. They're the Lords of Murder.
Yes. Murder is the name of a star. I guarantee it's supposed to be pronounced murder too, because it looks like it's... honestly, I think it is a procedurally generated name from the original Elite. Because it fits the billing. It's got kind of a weird syllable structure, and it's 6 or fewer letters. But it's spelled like MRHDYR or something like that.
MIRDHR.
Yeah, there's no Y. I kept wanting to put a Y in it for some reason. Murder. And yeah, the faction that leads a lot of the space around there is called the Lords of Murder. And even though they're independent, which means I'm not gaining any standing with any of the 3 superpowers, I still like doing missions for them because I want to be cool with the Lords of Murder.
Yeah, basically it's like those were my boys I was doing missions for right in the beginning. I'm like, all right. I ended up in Murder, and I was like flying towards this planet that was like gunmetal gray with red clouds. Cool. And I was like, that place looks rad. It's probably hell on the planet, but I'm going to fly towards it and check it out. I ended up never making it because it was a long flight and it wasn't letting me boost towards the planet. Yada, 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 yada.
And even still, I think that like No Man's Sky is the expert game in procedurally generated planets and stuff too. So I get the impression that the actual geography would have been more interesting if it was a No Man's Sky planet instead of an Elite Dangerous planet. Like, I think I can easily compare Elite Dangerous favorably to the other games in genre we've played, but there are obviously things that other ones do better. And I think it is really easy for me to say that On Foot No Man's Sky is definitely a much more polished game, even though this game's On Foot stuff is an entire separate paid DLC.
Yeah, and I do think that even the shooting in Starfield is a bit better than the shooting in this game, although it could just be that I need to get used to the shooting in this game.
Yeah, I feel like they're kind of comparable, but I do feel like I like the shooting in this game a little bit better, just because, again, it doesn't feel like I'm using recycled Fallout code when I'm fighting. Like, the code in this game, it even follows the same logic as, like, the space combat does, which, again, the logic traces all the way back 1982 game. If your opponent has a personal shield or a spaceship shield, you use energy weapons on it. Once that goes down, you hit them with materials. You hit them with bullets or missiles.
So what else would you like to chat about Elite Dangerous, my good sir? Because I've pretty much expanded the knowledge that I have about it. So I know you've played much more than I have.
Well, I feel like you ended up having a lot of cool things to bring up too, which I like. I feel like this is kind of almost like a Doom type episode where I ended up rambling a whole lot because there's so many tangents and things I'm excited about that I want to get out.
But that's fine because you got to play this game a lot more than I did just from circumstances that I was dealing with. So that's perfectly fine with me.
Well, I will say definitely the one thing that I think this game does so much better than the other space games we've played for this series is I wanted to do trading in No Man's Sky so badly. Pick up a bunch of stuff that was cheap at one space station, go to another one a few stars over and sell it. It just isn't good in that game. It's not a good way to make money. It's not satisfying. It's a fringe thing you can do, but it's nowhere near as good as just doing missions. I feel like a lot of the time when I'm doing trading in this game, it's you can really spec into trading and make an honest profit. You can be a passenger taxi and make an honest profit. You can be a bounty hunter. All these careers actually feel valid. And you can do multiple at once. While you're taxiing, you can be an explorer, While you're doing courier missions, you can also pick up a passenger or pick up some cargo and take it that way. And you have so much freedom to update your ship and make it whatever you want it to be that you're not even stuck with the archetype that ship comes from. Your Adder with its passenger cabins and all that looks nothing like the Adder I built that I was starting to put mining lasers and stuff on before I upgraded to a different ship.
Yeah, and the customizations that allows it to kind of for you to make it your own is pretty cool. And
I like too that we even made very different decisions. When you were looking at the optional mounts, the stuff I was looking at was expanding cargo, expanding passengers. You're I think I could install a heatsink so I won't have as much trouble with the stars. And I'm that's a good idea. Shit, I'd never even thought about the heatsink launcher.
That heatsink was a fucking lifesaver a couple times.
Yeah,
so, I was glad that I bought that and put that in.
Because I've noticed this too when I first started doing a lot of hyperspace jumping. It's just so easy to panic when you overheat and make it so much worse. And if you could just shoot down to 1% heat again, it's freaking sweet.
Yeah. Man. And it's funny too, because as soon as I saw heatsink, I was like, if I need those in my computer, I bet I need them in a fucking starship.
I don't know. I guess I feel like I could probably talk for another hour and still not even scratch the surface of stuff that I haven't scratched the surface of. I still feel like I'm completely nominally just learning the game and have no right to speak on it in any expert way whatsoever. But I'm damn sure enjoying it.
Yeah, and I think this will be one that I keep playing. I don't know if it'll be a daily go-to to me, but it might be one like No Man's Sky where when I just get the kick to go fly around in space, I'll just go do some stuff. Once we're done recording, I'm probably going to lay down and rest my back and then edit. But either later tonight or tomorrow, I think I'm going to finish up that mission so I can at least get my dolphin. So I got my first check mark off, And
I have a feeling that probably within the next week or two, we will probably have done a couple of games in both this and No Man's Sky, and no games in Starfield.
Yeah, there is a new No Man's Sky update that came out that looks pretty
very exciting. The new Corvette class of ship that's completely player buildable.
Yeah, you can customize it, and it's explorable on the inside, and your friends can fly around in your ship with you and stuff. It's just super cool. I'm also looking at another update here in my Steam homepage that 2 Point Museum got a new crossover with Dredge, and you can get Dredge artifacts and put in your museum, but beware, they may cause funny business.
Are we getting some collaborations?
So I like that, dude. Dredge was so good.
It was.
That's such a cool fucking game.
I super enjoyed that game.
So, do you want to get into ratings? Is there anything else you'd like to touch on?
No, I think that we've pretty much got there. I think we have an episode about Elite D at this point.
An episode about ED.
See, that's why people tend to abbreviate it as Elite D instead.
If you're having trouble with ED, Blue Chew.
I'm not having trouble with Elite Dangerous. I'm having trouble with Mostly Harmless. I actually did want to say that I do feel like the combat rating is insanely difficult to rank up compared to the other ones in this game. I'm on the 3rd or 4th ranking of trading and of exploration. I am still harmless in combat. And I've done at least 6 different bounty hunting missions. Which I know is not a lot, but that seems a little past harmless. I've committed some certain murders at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've killed more people than most harmless people I know.
Yeah, right? Probably more than I have in real life. Oh, what? So I'm incriminating myself? How are they going to catch me, Dalton? They want to try me in front of a jury of my peers? Where are they going to find 12 murderers?
Oh, I love it. You know what else I love? I love that No Man's Sky changed their thumbnail on Steam to look so much like Starfield.
Yeah, they got the little streaky
Such
orbits.
a big fuck you. Such a big fuck you. Like, it's even like they made their star dude stand the same way as the guy on the Starfield one. It's the same colored outfit. Like, hysterical. Anyway, what would you give Elite Dangerous on a scale of 1 to 10, my good sir?
I will say that one thing I didn't get into too much about this game, and one thing I do think is a significant hindrance that prevents this from being a game I can jump into and give a 10 out of 10, is, yes, this is a game with a ton of depth. Like, there's so much to learn, so much new stuff to discover. It's going to be a game that's with me for a long time. It is still really hard to get over how little resources there are for completely new players, and how easy it is for someone to just bumblefuck around without having any idea what they're doing. I do think that the beginning of the game is poorly tutorialized. It is a little unintuitive how a lot of the mechanics work too. And I doubt it's because they expected people to be playing the series since 1982, because this was the first polygonal, it wasn't the first polygonal 3D game. They've literally all been polygons since the beginning. The first one was a wireframe game, but it's the first one in like modern shaded polygonal 3D instead of like garage shaded MS-DOS 1992 graphics or whatever. They knew they had the opportunity to reach out to a new and casual market in addition to the hardcores. And even when they brought in Odyssey, which I think was designed to compete with No Man's Sky, it is so much easier to jump into No Man's Sky without ever looking at a tutorial and only asking someone 3 questions. Whereas I do feel like this is a game you definitely want to play with someone watching you to tell you, oh yeah, you need to do step X before you can jump in.
Yeah.
I think that is
I would have
not a murderous flaw, but I definitely think you would have enjoyed this game a lot less if you just did it on your own without someone who was looking shit up and actively trying to learn and teach.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what I was about to say. So I 100% agree.
That also being said, despite the flaws on onboarding, the richness of systems is such that it would almost be like me saying that Go was a bad game just because the first 50 times you play it, you don't know what you're doing. Because once you learn how to play Go, it's one of the most artistic and stimulating things you can do with an abstract strategy board game. You know, it's like you're playing chess and painting at the same time. It's a beautiful game. And it's hard to say just because it sucked when you were a beginner, because everything sucks when you're a beginner if it's worth doing. But you really do want games to be fun for people in the first little bit and not have a big chance of pushing them away. And I think that's this game's biggest flaw. That being said, again, I think this is such an incredibly high ceiling game that I'm just going to go ahead and give it 9.5 Lavian brandies out of 10 alcohols.
All right.
I don't remember what score I gave No Man's Sky, and I really wanted to have a chance to compare them head to head. I think they're different kinds of amazing games, even if they're visually similar, and a lot of things you can do in common are similar. I think the true deep No Man's Sky experience and the true deep Elite Dangerous experience are almost certainly 2 completely different games.
Oh yeah, one's a survival game and one's a simulation game, like on the core of it.
It's just exploration is wonderful in the same way in both of them.
I really thought this game was fun. Once I kind of got my claws into it, it is very obtuse for new players.
Thank God for Autodoc.
The way yes, my goodness. Oh yeah, if this game didn't have that at all,
you wouldn't be talking about it. You would have played it for 5 hours at most, probably 1 hour, and then you would have said, "This ain't it, Chief."
Yeah, this ain't for me. Yeah, 100%. So I will say that helped me a lot. It's very pretty. I'm enjoying what I'm doing now that I've kind of got a set goal for myself. I do dock it some points for things that we've discussed on the episode, but I'll give this a solid 8 elites out of 10 dangerouses.
I feel like even when you were giving that score, you were trying not to go way away from my score. Like, you didn't want this to be one we disagreed on a lot, because you're like, this is really good. It's just, I don't know if I see it the same way you do.
Yeah, no, I was floating between a 7.5 and an 8.
Okay, that seems reasonable to me, actually. I thought you were closer to giving it a flat 7. You might have been closer to giving it that before yesterday.
Yeah. But now that I know that there are flying whales, at least in the forms of ships, I'm a little more interested, so it bumps it up a little.
I cannot wait to fly with you in your whale ship.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking sweet. But yeah, man. So that brings us to the end here. He's not here to tell you, but the next game, I think we already announced it on his last episode now that I'm thinking about it. So our next game that we're playing is Dave the Diver, suggested by one Mikolov of Team Retrogue and Steam Machine podcast fame. And then after that, we're doing Slay the Princess.
Ah, yes.
Which is going to be a crossover with Dane and Jeff and those boys. So that should be a really, really good time. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it's Spooktober, baby.
So the plan for spooky season, this is the same time as it always has been. We are going to go weekly for that section, ending with, of course, the beautiful Halloween Fright Night of free and readily available indie games and demos.
Yes, sir. And I've already got my game that's not free. I've been perusing some free ones, and there's a couple that jump out to me, but I'm going to keep those close to heart.
I'm going to be honest, what you've discussed with me about what your pick is going to be might have freed up a pick for me, because that was also very high in my contention list as well.
Yeah, so I look forward to that. That's one that I know me and you both have been really looking forward to playing, and what better excuse to play it than Halloween?
Exactly.
You know? So that'll be coming up, in the next little bit, but for now, oh no, I remember what I was forgetting to pull up earlier.
Oh, yes.
The show notes, so I can read the ending stuff. Even though I should have it by heart by now. If you would do us a big favor and leave us a review over at iTunes and Spotify, that would mean a great deal to us. It helps us in the algorithm. If you want to join the Discord, where all the cool shit happens at, bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. That'll get you a link and an invite. You can come join in on the shenanigans, vote on the polls, all that good jazz. Check out the website, kept up to date by Dane, bit.ly/the Steam Machine Podcast. Just capitalize that phonetically. If you want to donate to the show, is patreon.com/the Steam Machine Podcast. Donate $1 or more a month. You get the episodes early, ad-free, and the banter in the beginning that is just for the patrons. And if you donate $10 or more a month, you get all of that, plus your name read on each and every episode, like these wonderful, wonderful people. Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of June-iper, Jeff, the original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube. Also, he is a duck. Ariesoradam, shout out to his podcast, Spectre Approved. He does with Fenny. Team Retrogue, go check him out over on YouTube for all your handheld needs. Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, Flyin Brian, Doran Gray, and the RPG Wolverine, Logan Joreid. You're all very, very much appreciated. Shout outs quickly to some other shows, and then we can plug some stuff and get on out of here. Shout out to the JRPG Report, a weekly to bi-weekly. It's kind of like whenever I can find some news, I put out a JRPG report. But you can find that if you're looking for JRPG news. Shout out to Grumpy Jeff's Pro Wrestling Power Hour. That'll be coming back soon. But for our listeners who are the wrestling fans, this Sunday is Clash in Paris. So there will be, in our Discord, we'll be doing a watch along with that. And then the last shout out I have is to Dane and Jeff's Media Dump. And they have an upcoming episode that I'm going to be on about Willy's Wonderland. So I'm going to try to put together a Discord watch along for that within the next couple days. So keep your eyes peeled out for that. Willie, plug some stuff, my good sir, if you have anything to plug.
All right. Well, if you're tired of the same choices and want to go truly independent, if you're sick of being told what to think or what to do by so many of the most powerful voices batting you down, may I suggest you check out the feudalistic choice of 105 star systems in our beautiful Milky Way galaxy, and speak your mind with the Lords of Murder, centralized in the murder system in the inner Orion spur of the Milky Way galaxy.
Couldn't have said it better myself, sir. On that note, we will see you back in 2 weeks for some Dave the Diving. Excuse me, I meant Diving with Dave the Diver. There we go. I'm tired. So for Willie, one half of the Steam Machine. Oh my God, one half of the Destructo Bros. I'm Dalton. Thanks for listening to the Steam Machine Podcast. And as always, everybody, take it easy.
I think I'm like 28% of the Steam Machine at best.